symptoms that or some of the coping mechanisms that we have, or one of the, I guess you could say, symptoms we identify for our depression, whether it's anger, whether it's worrying, whether it's whatever the habits are that you do to express your anxiety or your depression. Does that make sense? So, for example, something that causes me to be causes my anxiety is that I'm always worried, right? So I'm consistently worrying, and we're gonna identify the need. So I shared 2 documents with you guys on your phone. The first one is the behaviors that we display. The second one is an explanation of the reason why I might be displaying this. So for example, if I am constantly worrying, I'm gonna write this right here, right? And I'm gonna say the reason why I'm always worried is because there's a lot of stress, right? Which falls under the what we call the emotions section, right? So we see over there where it says a variety of different things that can cause, right? This would fall under the emotions section. And not only am I going to identify what the habit is that I display, but I'm also going to talk about why is it that I display. What's the need? What we're going to do is so we already identified the need. So when we go around, what I need, we're going to brainstorm together. So I don't like being like the guru or the one that kind of gives you guys the answers. What I'm going to have you guys do is I'm going to throw the ball at you. When I throw the ball at you, go ahead and see where it lands. And you're going to identify one of the habits. And then we already talked about what the need behind the habit is. So I want us to brainstorm together and talk about what are the vulnerabilities. So why does this make us vulnerable? What are the benefits? So there might be some good things about spending or overeating, or what are the benefits of doing the habit that we do, but what are the drawbacks also? Okay, and then I want us to brainstorm about what are some different ways we can meet the same need, and then the last thing is ways to address the target behavior so we don't do it again, or we could try better ways of coping with either depression or anxiety. Okay, so same thing, we just kind of went around this way. I'm just gonna start throwing it at you. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and go flip it.
Anger. Outburst.
Alrighty, let's get into that one. Vulnerability. How does that make you vulnerable?
Probably it makes people around you uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a vulnerability if you pop off. Other vulnerabilities. You kind of lose the battle in your head, I guess you could say, if you get angry, like pretty easily. I speak for experience because I used to get pretty angry all the time, very, very easily.
And then let's go ahead and move on to benefits. What's the good thing about having those anger outbursts?
It's not good to bottle up your emotions, so an outburst is good sometimes, but I think it just depends also how
you're realizing you actually have feelings, like your feelings
matter.
Mm-hmm.
It just you're realizing your feelings, but at the moment you're probably just so upset. It just comes in like in a wave, so you're not really able to process it. So that's where it just probably all shoots out at once.
Right. Okay. And then what are some? So we talked about benefits, drawbacks. What are some different ways we can meet the same need instead of having an outburst? What can we do?
You can write out your emotions, so at least they're out there, and then once you write it, if you're still feeling the same way, you could say it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
just to add a little more, I like the drawing idea. I also think you can do bite sizes, right? So sometimes what we do is we wait for like the moment, everything to bottle up, and then we let everything out. I think if you're able to voice your concern, you don't get to that point where you have to have an outburst. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like
if you're constantly telling people I'm not upset, and you figure out a way to say it in a way that like is stern but not mean necessarily, then you're able to do it slowly, and you don't get to that point where you need to have an outburst. Those are just my own little 2 cents. And then what are some? Okay, so we already talked about the same ways of meeting the same need. We said writing it out, and then we said going like step by step,
talking it out slowly, or not letting everything pile up at once.
Yep.
Like a certain issue if you're not like comfortable with it.
Addressing it immediately.
Nice.
Alright, thank you, Nanny. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to this way.
I forgot we
A little snack.
did this.
This one haven't we done?
Yeah.
Yeah, we already did.
Worry.
Right.
Haven't done that one?
No, we haven't.
Actually, I think that was the. No, yeah, that one's good. Right. So the first question is, what are the vulnerabilities of worrying?